Stop my stuff. I don't know why. And folks, we're live. We started early so we can check our equipment and make sure that we're ready for tonight's show. And let's see, are we ready? Brother, we ready. So we are working. Folks, we got a great show tonight. We have a great guest who's been with us for most of this week, and it has been one hell of a ride. I've been enjoying it, man, to meet somebody that's just like us. And so if you ain't got nothing to do, I want y'all to come in and share it around as we continue to share it around to our people. We got a great show. We're going to talk about Kanye West and George Floyd's family, the lawsuit. There's a new vax coming out. It's just a lot of stuff in the news that we need to be talking about. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know you're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. And I'm your host, David L. Lowery Jr., and the show is Let the Truth Be Told. Let the truth be told. I'd rather for you to hurt me with the truth than comfort me with a lie. Y'all come on in. We keep sharing that around. Folks, if you don't know that, you can go to TECNTV.com or you can go to my YouTube page, David Lowery, and you can see us on the show. Yeah, you can see us right there. So if you don't get on the Facebook piece, then you can definitely catch us there. But yes, we got a great show tonight. I have a great guest that's been with me the last 2 days, and it has been gunfire. So y'all come on in, y'all relax, get you a glass of wine, sit down and get you a brew or two, and let us get ready to give you your prime time news just the way you like it. Yeah, we're going to tell the truth. Let the truth be told, folks. So y'all ain't got nothing to do. Y'all share it around and let us keep it going. We have to be able to really think about what's happening in the world today, and we have to really, really. Mainstream media is not going to give us anything. They're not going to tell us the truth. But they're going to keep us in the dark, and so that's why we do this show with Miss Hughes and Mr. Binky in the background. We do it, and we do the research for you. We research it. We put it out there so folks can do it. If you don't think we're right, research yourself and you'll see. But that's what this is all about. It's about educating us and making sure our people get the truth about what's happening today. Y'all come on in. We got a couple of minutes before start time, and we got a great show. I can tell you that right now. We're going to talk a little bit about old George Floyd. And it's ridiculous. This Kanye, and they want to sue Kanye because he said Joy was on fentanyl, and this is totally ridiculous. It's really a distraction, folks. So if you ain't got nothing to do, y'all call your friends and let them know you're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I am your host, David Lowery Jr., and the show is Let the Truth Be Told. Let the truth be told. I'd rather for you to hurt me with the truth than comfort me with a lie. We finna get it in 1 minute before showtime, and let's get ready to rock, y'all.
I, Amy, I, Rose, I, Carmen, I, Sherry, I, Miss Rowland.
Let me put y'all backstage for a minute. And folks, welcome as we get started. 1 minute before showtime. And let's hit the button. We might as well get it in.
We don't need to be affiliated with nobody's party.
Okay, come on.
We don't, because Democrats haven't done a damn thing for us. And Republicans haven't done a damn thing for us.
Right.
What we need to be is our own independent black party. That's what we need. We need our own party. No more waiting for J.B. Crystal and the rest of them clowns to do anything. Now, I'm going to say this. We going to the polls. We going to the polls. Now listen to me closely. How many people out here suffer during this pandemic? Not a pandemic, but a pandemic. How many people suffer?
All of us. Everybody.
So what I'm saying is this. We, the people, need to get together. We're going to start this black political party. We're going to recognize the come. It's about America right now. It's about black people. It's about 265. It's about no economic development. It's about areas we built. That's right. Taking out the dollars. That's what this is about.
Take our land back. We built it.
It's our land.
and coming from the windy city of Chicago, Illinois. Now it's time to let the truth be told with David Lowery.
Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome. You're listening to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, David L. Lowery Jr., and the show is Let the Truth Be Told. Folks, we got a great show tonight. We're going to talk about current news, but this thing with Kanye West and the George Floyd family, we're going to discuss that as well. So, family, if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know. You're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I am your host, David L. Lowery Jr., and I'd rather for you to hurt me with the truth than come for me with a lie. Let's get ready to rumble! Special guest of the studio, Miss Patricia Hughes. Like I said, if you ain't got nothing to do, grab you a brew or two. Get you a glass of wine. I know y'all fine women out there, and y'all get ready. Good morning, Vietnam. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you at in the country, and welcome to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. Folks, we got a great show coming at you today, and I think these are things that we need to talk about. But first, let me give all praises to God, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for making it possible to be here. And I want to welcome all my first-time listeners. I want to welcome all the listeners from Miss Hughes' camp, and I want y'all to keep sharing it around the country all over, because this is the talk show where you're going to get the truth, nothing but the truth and the whole truth. So let me say this. I'm going to lay the groundwork, and we're going to get started. As we know, the economy is tanked out and all this bad stuff going on. So what other way than to get people's minds off these crazy stuff that the administration is doing with the gas and COVID and all of these things by having a snafu, just like the snafu when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. It went all over the country, everybody talking about it. It was basically a distraction because they were still sending the money to the Ukraine. So tonight we're going to discuss another distraction. So Kanye West, his new name is Ye, Y-E. Kanye West says that George Floyd died from a fentanyl overdose. Well, everybody is up in an uproar about it because they're saying that he died from the asphyxiation from the police officer's foot being on his neck. Both of those things are true. So Kanye is not off the mark because George Floyd did have enough fentanyl and other drugs in his body to have an overdose. And when you add that, the fact that there was a knee in his neck and in his back, he lost his wind and he died in the hands of the police. So what we're going to talk about tonight, I want to get my guest in too, because it's a lot of things we need to discuss about this. Black Lives Matter had riots all across the country in the name of George Floyd. They burnt cities. People were killed. Police department was set on fire. Nobody went to jail. And all of this stuff was done under the guise of Black Lives Matter, the Democratic Party, and George Soros and Antifa. So just like I said, if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know. We finna get it in. Let me bring my guest in. Welcome, Miss Hughes. How you doing?
As you was talking, I'm bringing the receipts. As you were speaking, I'm bringing in the receipts from the medical examiner that examined the body of George Floyd. Yes, let me have that, because we're going to be talking about some very poignant stuff tonight, and people are going to try to tell me to remember my history. I'm going to slap my history right there, because I don't think many people got a picture of their ancestors. She was the last slave in my ancestry that walked off that plantation. I walked off of it 12 years ago. And I want people to understand and feel like these receipts, when you have a medical examiner by Michael Bazin, who performed the autopsy on Floyd family, that it was determined his death was a homicide, explained that the amount of fentanyl that was in Floyd's system can vastly differ effects on different people. The dude was drugged out his mind. But let's not talk about the pregnant woman. Let's not talk about why he was out there. Let's not talk about his past. I don't understand why people think that when they die, that they hell that they gave on earth is supposed to be wiped away clean. There's still victims out here. The dude had a rap sheet. So this frivolous lawsuit that they're trying to get on Kanye West, didn't Kanye West actually give his family
$2 million? $2 million. Yes.
Please give that man his money back and leave Kanye alone.
You know what? And you're so right, because it's like this. Okay, so nobody deserves to die. But this is what I hate about this whole thing. Black Lives Matter jumped into the middle of this whole thing. They idolized George Floyd as if he was an American hero. They burned, looted. They made $1 trillion off of George Floyd's death, his name. I'm sure the family made money. NBA stars donated money to the family. I mean, they donated money to Black Lives Matter. All of this money that was recouped, especially by Black Lives Matter, they're still using his name as today to make money. And
yeah,
yet,
God don't care.
none of that money.
I already told you what he feels about George Floyd. You know, my God is a good God, because he literally struck that mural off the side of the wall, but left that whole building standing. Even God is getting tired of the bull crap. They made this man a saint. The saint of what? Fentanyl? I'm not finna do that. I have great role models. If I wanted to have somebody that I'm going to commemorate, it would be someone like a Martin Luther King Jr. or it would be a Malcolm X. But George Floyd ain't up there for them to create wings on a drug dealer. Oh, hell. How
you know what?
Y'all better stop playing with me.
We on the same page, because I was on Chosen Generation Radio this morning. And to my Chosen Generation Radio family, you know, we got it in this morning. And folks, if you can't catch us on the stream, go to our channel, TECENTV.com. And those were the exact words I've said this morning was, this guy was no saint. He should not be put on a mural with Dr. Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. They got his picture up as if he was a big leader in the community and that he did all these great things, that he died because he was doing something great in the community to uplift the Black community. And that was no way, form, or fashion his role at all.
None.
And so this is what I'm trying to get the American people to look at. Kanye, what he said was valid because of the drugs that he had in his system. Yes, the police officer foot did take the air out of him, but it was all contributing together that because he was on the drugs, he helped cause his own death. He really did.
You try to swallow your own. Come on, this is a secret. Most people, and don't be stupid. If you're gonna do the crime, do the time. Why would you swallow your own drugs? I've never understood that. Throw it out the window, put it in the gutter. You know, give it to Pennywise in the sewer system. But why would you swallow that? It's just like the jibbity jab. Once that's in your system, you ain't getting it out of it. So why, even if you're a drug dealer and you out there slinging drugs in our community and you destroying the Black community, because come on, let's be honest, that's exactly what he was doing. I ain't gonna forget about the gun up against a pregnant woman. We ain't gonna forget. I ain't letting none of that go. But it's also to the point that they made him a martyr, like he was supposed to be reverenced and get praised and worshiped. And I'm not finna praise a drug dealer. I'm not finna praise someone that brought more damage to my community. I'm not finna praise someone that put a gun against a pregnant woman. I'm not finna praise someone that destroys our community by slinging drugs on the street corner. I don't know what the heck is wrong with the Black community where we think that's the standard of living, and not someone that's graduating college, not someone that's opening up a job, not a lawyer, not a doctor, not anyone that survived out of poverty when everybody else said they wasn't going to amount to anything. This is the guy that we're supposed to put up on a pedestal and a statue. Use a lie, and your grandma and Black Lives Matter at blue, and the Democratic Party is too.
And you know what? That's exactly my sentiments as well, because Black Lives Matter got wealthy. They got super rich.
No, they didn't.
They got super rich off the people. Let me tell me what you think.
Let me tell you something. The communities of Black Lives Matter, you know, the ones that really live in the hood, they didn't
Yeah,
get
they didn't get diddly squat.
what
They
did
didn't get
those
nothing.
people do? They left the national Black Lives Matter. They didn't want to have nothing to do with those those feminazis who didn't even recognize what a black man is. They don't even represent or acknowledge what a black man presents to our society. This is the same feminazis, these three chicks that's
I know
up there that
Patrice.
hate the black man.
Let
And then
me
you're going
say
to get
this.
all these houses and mansions and everything, but you ain't did nothing for the summer of love of the communities that you
Exactly.
destroyed, or that even the one that had just retired, that was the police officer that was shot point blank in front of a pawn shop as they are literally sitting there recording him as he take his last breath. I don't ever want to die like that. That man he looked at the face of evil when he was taking his last breath, and these people was over him. Where your mama and them at? How in the world did your parents didn't teach you to have honor and respect for your elderly folks, and for you to kill that man? And the only thing that he did was get out of his bed to answer an alarm and stand out in front of his store after he had already retired. He didn't have to do that, but he did, and you still shot and killed him. And you supposed to think that's supposed to be a kudos for the black community or anybody's community? You tarnish that community.
And so this is the thing. And black folks, we have to realize this. Just because the name that said Black Lives Matter, they really didn't mean black people. They meant black queers, black transgenders, black whatever, pedophiles. That's what they meant. And they had it on their mission statement. When
Sure,
we did
this, reads the mission statement, just like Democrats don't even read their platform. Majority of the black people that I know that are Christians that believe in the blood of Jesus Christ know what Romans 10:9 and 10 and John 3:16 mean, and calling themselves a Democrat. You better check out your platform before you roll up on anybody like myself or David, because you are worshiping Satan and you are representing Satan. So you are oxymoron walking.
And so now that we really have to understand, all this money was given to Patrice and them. They went out and bought mansions with it. But all of the crime that was still going on in the major cities, all the other killings, we had children here in Chicago that were shot by chance. You would think that Black Lives Matter, after all of this money, they amassed all of this wealth, that they would come back to the black community that they made the money off of with that slogan, that they would come back and they would invest money into centers for the kids. They would invest money into banks. If you love black people, if I got the money, I would be in every major city. And this is what I would be doing. I would be creating economics. I would be buying commercial property. I would be putting black people back into their homes. We would be creating wealth for our generation. That's what we should be doing as black people. But for Black Lives Matter to come on,
they've been gentrified, and they don't even know what gentrification is. They've been gentrified, and they're never going to get their property back. They've been gentrified because they can't afford to go there. So all of this stuff is a bunch of hogwash for me. I almost fell into the Black Lives Matter. I did for maybe 1 week.
I didn't.
I did for 1 week.
And then I didn't for 1 second.
No, that ain't not with them, because I was thinking, like, black on black crime. My son was shot point blank in the head at a Domino's table and didn't nobody say a thing. You know that about me.
Yes,
so I'm thinking, okay, so if Black Lives Matter, I can get with that. And then this is why I love my show, because you got people like Miss Carmen, Miss Rose, all these people that are watching us right now. They're like, sit back, watch what's going on before you jump on a bandwagon. And what made me change my mind, it was one black fat chick that was sitting on the back of a pickup with a bullhorn talking about all white people to the back, all white people to the back. I'm sitting here like, where the hell are we back in 1940? Are we finna go back to segregation again? And then now you got segregation everywhere. But what pissed me off royally, 2 examples. One was in New York. It was an elderly black woman said, I've been at this store for 50 years. I have lived in this community for 50 years. Why y'all tearing down stuff in our community? Why are you giving us a place where we can't go get food and our pharmacy and everything else? Why do you keep wanting to kill our own kind? That was one thing. Then there was another one. A woman was cleaning up a grocery store, the only one in her whole black community, one grocery store. She in there just trying to sweep up. She got out of her car. She made a Facebook Live. She said, I don't know what to do. Only thing I wanted to do was sit there and help clean up so we'll have a place to shop and get our groceries. And people just ran in the store and started stealing all over again. I am sick and fed up. Well, ma'am, move. When you finally a woman's fed up, ain't nothing you can do about it.
So ain't R. Kelly.
Community gonna have to get fed the heck up for us to finally make a change. Even Martin Luther King said, hey, maybe it wasn't a good thing to actually be segregated, because now we're sitting here and dancing with the devil. Even Malcolm X said, hey, if you're sitting here and voting for Democrats or listening and believing lamestream media, you already a slave. So you want to call myself and people like David and people like Steve and people like my husband, Coon, Uncle Tom, cracker lovers and all that. The only person that's the ignorant one, that's the stupid one, is yourself. You look at the mirror and you hate what you've become. So you think that you're going to project your hatred, your true racism against people like myself and David, because God gave us our charge. He gave us our mission. So you trying to tarnish our name, you ain't actually tarnishing our name. You ain't doing it but spitting at the person you look at every day in the mirror. At least we out here on the forefront. You sitting there trying to be a keyboard warrior while you waiting on your welfare check or your EBT card.
Somebody's on fire tonight. Listen, let
me tell you, for everybody in the Black community, like I said, here's my history before anybody say you need to learn yours. This woman sitting here was the last slave that walked off that plantation. Look at her hands. It looked like she didn't play no mess. This one right here was a school teacher. I didn't have any reason to be stupid nor dumb. So when Joe Biden and the Democratic Party telling me I don't know where to go, or I don't know a banker, I don't know where a lawyer at, I need a record player because I don't know how to raise my kids, you a lie. My son, my oldest is 35. The other one is 33. The other one is 30 and 29. And all of them are great, law-abiding citizens.
And that's the whole key. And this is what I'm telling the Black community, that we see from what has happened to us that nobody cares, and we get used so much, we get used so bad that it's ridiculous. And now for us to still be in this condition, we're in a worse condition than we were before COVID. Now that the Biden administration is in, our whole world is turned upside down. Joe's still running around telling Black leaders to sit down and shut up. He's still continuing to use his power to lock Black men up. Ain't nothing changed. He just lied the other day talking about, well, I'm going to let all the people go who got simple marijuana charges. Well, Joe, you the one that locked them up.
And then Kamala helped hold them down. It was
Joe. See,
Kamala Harris helped hold them down. You got a woman named Miss Rowland here that's out on the forefront in California. She's out there every day. She'll tell you who Kamala truly is. When you got Black pastors in the pulpit calling her everything but a child of God, you might want to listen. How in the world are you going to suppress DNA from innocent people to go ahead and get a notch on your headboard as you put on a new pair of knee pads? Answer that. And you're not a person of color. I'm an American that happens to be Black.
And you know what? The saddest thing of it is this. Black folks, we let them talk us into voting. Some of y'all to voting. When he said that you ain't Black if you don't vote for Joe, and then he disrespected us like that, and then y'all went to the polls and voted him in, that's why we get treated like that, because we don't respect ourselves enough to say, hold up, wait a minute. If you disrespect me like that, I have nothing to do with you. And that's why the Democratic Party don't respect us, is because they do everything. It's just like throwing crap on the wall. They throw it up there and whatever stick, if Black people believe it and bite it, then that's what it is.
It's my favorite.
We've been biting it for a while.
Holding you down. The white man is your problem. The white man. Do you listen to a whole bunch of white people? Because I'm sorry, I ain't seeing too many Blacks trying to hold us up. I'm not seeing too many Black preachers out there teaching what the Bible actually says. They more worried about getting a 501c3 or whatever tax exemption away from them. How about getting back to hellfire and damnation? How about getting back to repentance? How about getting back to Revelations? How about starting back at Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? How about picking up one of those 66 books or taking it all the way to the last sentence of that Bible that says, if you even try to change any words in here, you're going to have a curse upon yourself. Amen. How about actually talking the talk instead of walking it? I'm just with that.
And so this is when I saw that this morning about Kanye.
Woo.
And I thought, now, Didn't Black Lives Matter give the Floyd family some of the money that they stole and robbed out of people's pocket? Didn't they win a lawsuit against the city or the police department? Didn't they get paid? So now this is just how bad it is. Okay, Kanye says what he says. Now George Floyd's girlfriend, his baby mama, want to sue Kanye. So she got with the family and said, oh, he disrespected George. Like
the white
George,
one or the black one? I'm just asking. He has so many sidekicks. Which one we talking about?
I don't know which one it was, but whatever one it was said, now they got with the family and now they want to sue Kanye for telling the truth. Well, we know that that's not going to go nowhere, folks. But this is news for the left. This news is for the left while they still stealing money out the back door from us, while they still trying to figure out ways to change the Constitution. We want y'all to argue about Kanye.
No, sir, they're trying to repeal and replace the Constitution, change it. No, they're trying to completely eliminate it. I don't want to be under the New World Order, and I don't want a doctrine that from people that don't even live in our nation.
And so that's the thing. That's the whole thing. So these are only diversions. These are only diversions from the truth of what's actually going on. And that's why I say to the American people, if we don't make these changes now, we're going to continue to see this trend of always, here comes a new virus. Here comes this. They're going to keep doing this until they feel that they got the new world in order. And that's to repeal the Constitution, get all of us in camps, count our money, and make sure that if we go digital money, they want to know every penny that you got coming in. All of these things are against the American people lives. It's against our freedoms. So we got to stand up.
We got to give each other kudos on not taking the jibbity jab. We done pissed off the world leaders because the black community won't mind their P's and Q's. They're not listening to massa and them. So what did they do? They went to the fake pastors and said, you know what? If you don't open up your churches and allow us to use your sanctuary for a jibbity jab, you're gonna not get your tax exempt. So what did black people say? Ain't nobody falling for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. There is more black people.
It was more black people that didn't take the shot.
Right. And now they are, let me tell you something. The CDC, along with the UN and also the global elitists, are making a whole committee to try to study why people didn't mind what they said and why so many people resisted the jibbity jab. Now, Miss Rose is on here, and I learned stuff on my page because you can't come to my show unless you got receipts before you start talking. They actually formed this with the gain of function to go after a certain ethnic group, and it was the black people.
And black people, and I do want to say that we deserve kudos because they kept saying that it was a lot of black folks taking the shot. That was just a lie to try to trick you into taking it. We did not take the shot like they thought. And that's why they came up, I'll send you to the baseball game. We'll give you a glass of beer. Guess what? We got the vaccination lottery. This was all against us, to the American people. If you don't see that, we got to see it. It all came under the Biden administration. None of this stuff came under Trump. And that's what I keep telling black folks. We need to wake up. It's the Democrats who are trying to destroy this country, take us over, push the new world order in, and then all of us is going to be like zombies standing around. Steve, what you doing down there?
He coughing, Mr. Binky coughing. He got Rona.
What you Bink, you got some information that you're supposed to read out there, right?
Go ahead and put it out there, Steve. Jerry.
They were talking about that. You were talking about that new vaccine or something. It was called the Novavax COVID-19.
Yes.
It's a booster, I guess, or something like that. While this emergency use stuff's going on, you can't sue any of these vaccine companies. Once the FDA, which they just approved this, once they approve it, you can sue them now.
Okay, but first of all, emergency use, right? Only, right?
Well, now that under the emergency use, right, is an unapproved vaccine. Now the FDA is approving. Now you can sue on injury. But what they're doing now is their FDA is trying to authorize this under the Childhood Vaccination Act.
They already have. They did that today.
Really?
I
Yeah.
thought it was supposed to be tomorrow, but
No, they already said that school students or students that's getting ready to go to school, it's going to be one of the regiments of the vaccination they have to do before they go to school. They're just going to add this shot to your kids. And if you don't allow your kids to get the booster shot, then they won't be going to mainstream school.
And
Well,
you know what? And that's
doing that now, if they did already approve this as a childhood scheduled immunization, now you can't sue them. Why do you think they pushed it?
Exactly. And this is to the American people. This whole thing has been about trying to force this illegal drug and this experimental drug into our bodies, into our kids. And the American people need to wake up. If they didn't find a cure for the virus, and now all of a sudden, when the money ran out, they said, okay, now you can walk around and have COVID and be around other people. When the past 3 or 4 years, we've been 6 feet. We've been wearing masks that couldn't protect us. We've been jumping through hoops, all of this stuff that they made us do. And really, we didn't have to do that. So now they didn't find a cure, but now they're still telling people, okay, y'all need to keep getting shots. What's the purpose of keep getting the shots? What you putting up there, Steve?
FDA authorized COVID vaccine boosters for children 5 and above.
Now, what is a baby immune system going to do with a vaccine when his system it doesn't have anything? How is a vaccination going to help a 5 or 6 year old baby protect itself against what? See, that doesn't make sense. And that's what I'm appealing to the American people. We have to think, use common sense. Common sense going to tell you if it couldn't stop the virus, they couldn't find a cure for it. We didn't get immunity. They tried to force us to take it. People lost their jobs because the Democrats wanted to force them to take it because they had invested all their money into these companies. They gave the drug companies immunity when they gave us the little stimulus money. So the American people need to wake up and look at exactly what happened. And this happened all under the Democratic leadership. And so now that we got this, what are we going to do? It's
Okay,
time for us to change.
Let me revive that. It says the CDC Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices is expected to announce later this week that the COVID-19 vaccine will be added to the list of required childhood vaccinations. If the CDC has already put it out there, they're already telling you they've already approved it and ain't nothing you can do about it. So,
but who is the CDC? The CDC doesn't have the authority to implement this. Do they, Bink?
No, they do not. They're not even a constitutional approved agency, nor is the FDA. And this is EPA, Department of Energy, Department of Education. All these agencies have been put through by laws. You cannot create a law to give yourself power that does not already exist in the Constitution. The states have failed the people. The states were supposed to go and say, no, you are stepping outside your constitutional authority that we gave you under Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution.
And
if they do that, then guess what? The money dries up. It's all a money
exactly.
game.
That's what it's money game.
The federal government say, but hey, states depend on that free cash. And if they don't accept it or do the requirements of the federal government, they'll take that funding out. So that's what they do, and they hold it over these people. That's just like the National School Board. They are doing this and have been doing it. So even down here in Georgia, it's a bona fide fact because I talked to our Secretary of School Superintendent. His name is Richard Wood. He was like, Krisha, I can't do nothing. What you mean you can't do anything? He said because Governor Deal, before he left office, which is our governor before Brian Kemp, when he left office, he had already appointed a board above the school superintendent, and so much money was being funneled into Georgia that even Richard Woods don't have a backbone anymore. He has to go in front of a whole nother board. But if you know about the 45 rules of common goals that was sit into congressional record in 1963, then you know, even way back then, they said use executive orders to rule the law of the land. So when presidents actually get into office, the first thing they do is give out executive orders like it's Tic Tacs. And that's exactly what we've been happening. And people know I love the 45 rules coming as goes. They have been setting this into motion since 1963, both Democrats and Republicans.
And so this is the whole thing about it. As long as they know that we do not know our rights, that's why the schools started to stop teaching the history. They stopped teaching about the Constitution. They didn't want our children to know about it, because I know we used to keep the Constitution in our pocket. We knew our rights, and that is how the government now is using that technique. Okay, we're going to slide it out to schools. We're going to make sure the kids aren't learning about math and science no more. They won't be able to read or understand. They can't write cursive writing. You just print. They might as well just let their ass sign an X on the page. These kids are children, the future of this country. They are not smart at all because the school system is not teaching them anything. They're not teaching them how to wash their face. Nothing.
Of the United States. And I love my grandchildren because the oldest is 12, the youngest is 1. So, you know, there's a chair right here, and they love to be in grandmother's mouth. But remember how we was raised. We was raised to be seen but not heard. Exactly. So what is it doing when our grandchildren, our children are around us, is that they suck in that knowledge. So if the parents and the grandparents ain't stepping up to the plate to show them what Steve just held up, will show them what I just held up, then you sit them right there over in that corner, give them a Game Boy, and let them listen to you talk.
Yes.
I can remember the conversations because I told you my grandmother was the babysitter for the Martin Luther King family. Yes. My mom's best friend was Bernice, okay? So my family has always been entangled with the Martin Luther King family in some kind of shape, form, or fashion, regardless if it was the freedom fighters all the way up to Malcolm X. My family, my grandmother was the first Black woman. My granddaddy was the first white man in Georgia, Commerce, Jackson County in the 60s, and they was on the front line of marching in Selma, Alabama. So all I heard was that lip service from those old cackling hens, from those old wise men, as they come into my grandfather and grandmother house having conversation about what is next and where they need to go. So when you're looking at Ralph David Abernathy, I used to sit in that guy's lap. When you're looking at people like Jackson Jackson, they used to hang out with my grandparents. So that tells me they taught me a lot, and I'm not going to forget it. So if that means that we must take our own grandchildren under our wings so they can suck up that knowledge, then that's what we're supposed to do by being the guardians of their galaxies and not the government or any teachers union around the United States.
And to the American people and patriots across this country, we have to do right now what the governor of Florida did, Mr. DeSantis. They created a new bill and a law out there that restricts homosexuality and all this sexual stuff to be taught into the schools. See, that bill right there, and I'm so proud of him. Let's give him a hand.
I like DeSantis.
I like him too. And what he did was he using the common sense approach. He knows that parents are supposed to be in control of their kids. But what the government has done and these states have done, they have sneakily created little laws behind our backs that say that the schools can be surrogate parents to your child. And now that they can feel that they spend more time with your kid than you, they're teaching your children to hate you, to disrespect you, to come and spy on you, what's going on in your home, come back and tell the teachers all of this. All of this stuff is by design. It's all about...
Not necessarily, because Dare been out since the 80s. Dare to tell on your parents for weed.
Yeah, please.
Right. Yeah, Dare been out. They've been trying to condition us to be snitches since the 80s, since the crack epidemic, since snitching on your parents if you get a whooping or even discipline. They was like but they've been butterbox babying us for a very long time. If anybody know what the butterbox babies, defects, CPS, all the rest of them been snatching kids from their parents for as long as history been around. But now it's just legalized because they got their own departments. So yeah, they've been targeting our children. But how can you take over a whole nation if you don't go after the next generation?
Exactly, and that's the point. You know, that did come out then in the dare situation, and I dared my kids to call when they got whoopers. I dared her. I dare you to get on that phone. And if you, my daughter did do it once, called and had the police because she got caught with makeup on, and I whooped her with a switch. And man, they had me in the courts, and I told my kids bring all her stuff into the courtroom. The judge knew me. They walked in with about 6 30-gallon garbage can sacks full of stuff. And I told the lady, I said, let me tell you something. Until you have kids of your own, then you don't tell me how to raise my kids. And I said, if I can't raise my kids the way I'm supposed to, then y'all can have them. And man, I walked out the courtroom. The judge called me, Mr. Lowery, take your daughter. My daughter don't wear makeup today, and she's 45 years old. But what I'm saying is this. Parents have to refuse. These are our children. And no laws can take our children from us because they came from us. All they can do is try to intimidate us and make these stupid rules. But if you stand up against them, you will prevail. And that's what I'm telling parents today. Stand up against the system. Stand up. Get your kids out of these indoctrinated schools. They're trying to move them to the New World Order. They're creating dummies. They don't want them to be free thinkers. They're using us, they're using our money, and they're destroying the American structure of the family values between men and women.
For any Black person out there to ever vote for someone like Stacey Abrams, you're beneath me. You're straight beneath me. God is finna set you to the left while the rest of us go on his right. When you have a woman like Stacey Abrams that's running for governor for the state of Georgia and calling our children as the point that they need to be slaughtered all the way after birth, then I don't want to hear another Democrat come towards me whatsoever when you're killing your own offspring. When 62% of the abortions are against the Black race, and you finna come out here and try to fix your lip to call me an Uncle Tom or anything else. At least I care more about our own community that I'm not going to slaughter them at the altar of Baal because you couldn't keep your legs closed and you have no self-containment.
And that's the whole thing.
Having 4 kids at the age of 20, at least I took care of mine.
And that is so true, because I think for us as Black folks, and we have to get back to the values of the old school if we plan to move forward, because the values that our grandmothers taught, the values that my mother taught us, those are the things that we have to get our kids back under control. They have to be back to a place where they respect their mothers and fathers, even if you have to get them to say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir. See, those old school
What's wrong
things.
with that? Because my grandkids do that. Let
Mine
me hear
do too.
or
Mine
yeah.
do too.
I won't even say anything to them. I'm gonna sit there and be quiet and give them that stank look until they correct their own self.
Exactly.
So my grandchildren, when they get here to this house, I don't care what you do at your other grandparents' house, but this
That's
house,
right.
you're gonna have the utmost respect. Your great grandmother in there, I'm your grandmother, that's your father, that's your mother. I better hear yes, ma'am, no,
Exactly.
ma'am, yes, sir, or no, sir. People want to say you giving them that slave mentality. No, that's called being respectful. Teaching them how to have respect, because even the Bible says that we're supposed to have respect for our elders, that we're supposed to protect our elders, and that the men are supposed to be on the forefront. You got so many Black women hating Black men and white men and men in general. They're so damn confused, but they want to come to my page and give me some lip service. Get off my page, get out of my life, because you beneath me.
And then you know what? We did a show maybe about a month ago where we had some women from all generations, and we talked about the relationship between Black men and women and how the Black family structure is down to like about 10% now. You don't see Black men and women getting married. You know, I think a lot of the misconceptions about each other is keeping us apart. The fact that now women, back in the day when Billie Jean King burnt the bras and all that kind of stuff, you see white women getting married every day. They getting the dress, they doing this. But our sister took it to another level. They got to the place where I don't need a man. I don't need no man in my life. I got money. I got the cars. I got the house. What I need a man for? And in the middle of the night, you can hear that buzzing noise. Zzz. But what I'm saying is this. Until Black men.
I don't even own one. I ain't never owned one.
You just caught it. You slow tonight.
With no batteries.
You slow tonight. But it's true, and in that attitude is keeping men from women and women from men. And right now, let me say this: in the black community, our black men and women, they need to start listening to slow dance music. We need to get back to slow dancing again. Where two people actually get together and hug up and talk, okay? Slow grind on each other. That's what we need to do, because I'm telling you, the way it is now and at the rate that we're going, black people, the black family structure is already gone. You do not see in the commercials of today dark-skinned black men and women together showing a family structure.
I don't think they ever liked my skin complexion or darker.
Well,
I'm gonna be honest, in the black community, we hate each other. We've always hated each other. It's the light skin versus the dark skin. It's
always
this class against this class. It's, you know what? I'm so over that. I'm paper sack brown. So when the aliens come back, all you highfalutin yellow skinned women, y'all gonna get snatched up and you're gonna be on your anus.
You know what? You're so silly. But it's the total truth, folks. We laugh and we making fun, but
we're gonna cry.
But this situation is serious.
And gnash at our teeth. We gotta laugh because we know we win in the end, and we know that there's a higher calling than us, and we don't put ourselves up there on a pedestal to get knocked down by society standards. We actually are, and I'm putting myself in there because I want to hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." I'm not trying to get back to that level. I don't want to turn around. I don't want to look back at what I left. I don't want to go back into the clubs. I don't want to go back out on the street life. I don't want any of that. So I'm at a point in my life that my life is halfway over. I'm 48 years old, and I don't want to see 100. I'm just being honest.
Man, what you talking about? I want to see 100.
So I want to be able to say I got a clear conscience and that I did the best that I can do, and that I upheld his standard, and I believed in his cross, and I believed in his blood, and that this is just temporary, and that all this hatred and turmoil and drama, no matter what, because God ain't gonna care about your skin complexion. He don't care about what you look like from the outside. He don't give none of that, because he made you in his image. He only worried about what you accomplish on this earth, what you are leaving behind. And regardless of what Stacey Abrams tell you, regardless what the Democratic Party tell you, no matter what Black Lives Matter tell you, they ain't gonna be up there holding your hand. Every sin that you commit on this earth, when you die by yourself, because you was born by yourself, you're gonna take a judgment and account by yourself.
And this is the thing. This is what I'm trying to awaken our community. We can look at ourselves and we look at our community and see that it's a war zone. We don't own nothing. We have nothing, and we're not getting anything. This is the thing. The black community is not progressing. We're regressing. We're going backwards. We're steady losing stuff. We're not gaining anything, and everybody use us. When foreigners come to the United States, they say, "Give me something. Give me some old junk. Let me open a store in the black community and I can get rich." Nobody puts nothing back into the black community. And that's the reason why it looks the way it looks right now. That's the reason why our schools are in the condition. That's the reason why our children are killing each other. It's all sorts of things.
Sophisticated, educated black person that has worked hard all their life, went to school, got those degrees, became an entrepreneur, did everything they should and want to bring their money back to the community. But when they get there, they bashed, they talked about, no one shops with them. Somebody want to hook up. Someone want to hand out. They'll sit there and disparage their name. They would call them good for nothing, worthless sons of SOBs. But if they, long as they just stepped out of the penitentiary, they got a block party. But the ones that actually spend their time in school to become more knowledgeable than the rest, the ones that actually step out there on a leap of faith and open up their own businesses, these are the ones that should be uplifting the communities. But these are the ones that get spit on, disparaged, talked about, always everything other than what they did. They want to bring their money back into the black community. But we see, and it's stats beyond stats of everything that I'm saying. They'd rather go give a Korean to get their nails done. My daughter do nails. She got her own shop. They
That's
would
so
rather
true.
go give somebody else some money or maybe even some Louis Vuitton instead of worrying about your FUBU that went there and did it. So no, even if the Black community don't even respect them dango selves, even uplift their own communities, and we always got to consider each other as a crab, why in the world would you go back to that community where you know you just came from and you ain't gonna go nowhere? So
Well,
everyone is saying, you know, don't forget where you came from. The heck you say? I escaped poverty mindset for a reason. I don't have that victim mentality because I know I'm the child of God. I don't want to go back into that community reminiscing about poverty and being broke and poor, and still 20 years later, we still broke, poor, and in poverty, and still blaming somebody else's race, creed, or color for the problems that happen in our own dang community when our own history tells us differently.
And you know what? That's true. Because we can open business up, and until everybody changed the mindset. See, everybody wasn't taught about economics like we were taught. I bought my first business at 17 years old. You know what I'm saying?
It ain't like we don't want you to come up. We ain't, me and David, we ain't those type of people. We ain't got it like that, but we can point you in the right direction.
Exactly.
We can tell you if we trust you, we can actually introduce you to someone else that is more knowledgeable than us, that can point you in the right direction. But why would we help anyone that's getting ready to stab us in the back or talk about us like we dogs, and you're going to use and abuse our knowledge to make your own self come up? Now, to thyself be true first before you be trying to lollygag everybody else.
But you know, that's the thing, and that's the problem. And it has to be corrected. Even though we say that, even though we're going through this time, in order for the Black community to survive, we're going to have to create some type of unity, because if we don't, it's over. It's over. If you look at future movies, you don't see a lot of Black people in the movies. You don't. And so if we are to survive, all y'all Black folks out there, men and women, our children, if we don't come to some type of unity in the next, I want to say, if we don't come to some type of unity within the next 2 years, it's going to be a problem. Because if Joe Biden stays into office, we already seen the damage they've already done to this country. If they continue down this road with all the cards in their hand, then we got a problem. We through. And then it might be too late for the American people to stand up and fight back. It will be a civil war, because I know myself, a lot of people not going to go down the new world order road, okay? We're not just going to do that. I'm not doing that. You're not going to control my money. You're not going to control my life. You're not going to control my family. God gave me this freedom. The Constitution gave me my freedoms, and that's what I live by. And I can guarantee you this: if I got to die, that's what I'm going to die by. But I'm not going to let nobody take nothing from me that God gave me. And if the American people don't stand up on just the fact of knowing God and doing the right thing, this country was built this way. If we don't stand up and take our kids back, not tomorrow, right now, they just approved the vaccinations. They're gonna keep doing it. If we don't take our kids out of these schools, and if we don't create laws to combat the homosexuality stuff, it's over.
It's over. And he ain't trying to hurt your feelings.
No, I'm just telling the truth.
That is exactly. And people don't want to hear the truth because they're not benefiting from that truth. You are benefiting from that truth. You're leaving a lasting legacy. So until you are ready to hit the nail on the head, please stop talking to people like me and David. We live that life. We raised kids. We try to get out that life. We try to make it better so we don't become a number or a stat. We don't want to be that way. We want to show people how to actually prosper. But I ain't finna sit here and give you nothing for free, because it wasn't given to me freely. And anything that's given to anyone freely, you can better believe it's a trap.
Now let me say this to the American people, and I want to say this to God's people right now. The position that we're in Revelation times.
Yep.
We're in Revelation 13, 16 through 17, where it talks about in order to buy, sell, or trade, everybody is going to have the mark of the beast. You better know that when COVID came, when they came with the vaccination, That's what this was all about. They was testing us to see who was going to take the shot.
Yep.
Now they're trying to figure out ways to take the money, because after a while, if we continue down this road, they're going to put that chip in you, or you're not going to be able to buy no food. You're not going to be able to do anything. And I'm telling you, the Bible has foretold it. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. Talk about the Quran, talk about Buddha and Huda. But the Bible, even though it's been tampered with, tells the truth that we're in Revelation times. And if we don't understand the position that we're in, it's over. And I keep saying it because the next move for the Democrats is to come and change the money, put the chip in us, to keep destroying the economy.
You know
We
what
have to
Sherry
see
said?
it.
There's a lady in your live chat right now. Her name is Sherry. And she said the new world order is in Revelations. The Great Reset. It
Yes,
is
it.
that
This
time
is
now.
it.
Yeah, it is. It is that time, Miss Sherry.
And that's what I'm trying to, as a pastor, and I see what's going on. I don't preach about prosperity. I can't preach about prosperity.
Man.
The way the world is right now, we have to make our people aware. We have to be honest with them. And like I'm telling you now, we in Revelation times. This is the end. We can change it because God is on our side. If we stop allowing this government and these people to dictate us and change our lives for what they want. If God people stand up right now and we take this country back, we get these fools out of office and we start coming back to the things that made the country great. We reestablish marriage between a man and a woman. We reestablish the families, the American families. We reestablish our claim, everything that God has given us. If we do that, our children will have a future. If we don't, you can see homosexuality in the schools. They don't want your little boy to be a boy. They want him to be a girl. They're talking about transitioning kids without the parents' knowledge. Why do you think Governor DeSantis created the bill to stop all of this foolishness and they taking parental rights from you? These are our children. The future of this country is bleak if we don't change it. If God's people don't stand up, if patriots don't stand up for this country, forget that January 6th stuff. We're in a worse condition right now. If Joe Biden and this administration stay in office, nothing is going to change. It's going to get worse. More games is going to be played on us. More rights is going to be taken. And I guarantee you, if they think that they're going to take the rights away from the American people, it's time to stand up. We might have to have us a civil war. We might have to have some gunplay because I'm not going.
I'm not going. People
I
always
know
say,
the rights God gave me.
You can't say stuff like that. Yeah, I can. Because I want to be made known that I'm not finna willfully take this poison that I know ain't no good for me or my loved ones. Why would you even sacrifice of all this stuff? And we can bring in history of what they did to the Black culture. Why in the world you want to be a Tuskegee?
That's right.
Why in the world do you want to be a Margaret Sanger? Experimentation. Why in the world you won't believe in someone like myself, someone like Steve, or someone like Dave? We don't want nothing from you. We can't gain anything from someone we can't. So why wouldn't you take someone like us that ain't asking you for anything? Do your own research so you will to thine self be true. But you don't want to do that. You want to be spoon-fed. You want to have an argument. You always want to bash people that has woke up before you did, and you don't understand where we're coming from. Well, maybe this is where God says, you know what? You knock the dust off your feet and you move to the next man, because that man ain't listening. There's somebody over there in the corner that wants your attention.
And listen, to the pastors across this country, you need to read Ezekiel 33 and 34, because when we accepted the responsibility of Christ and the Holy Spirit, we became watchmen. Mm-hmm. Our position, our job is to watch this. We're in control of the destiny of God's people. It is our job to save souls and to help them get through these times. But a lot of pastors have fallen away from the true calling. And if we don't get back, if pastors can change the dynamics in the whole earth, they don't even understand. These young pastors don't understand because it wasn't a calling, it was about money. It was about me getting a pastor and passing a plate and learning how to beg. That's what's killing us. And until the real men of God stand up, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for real men of God, those who will stand up just like the 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego went into the furnace. I'm looking for real men to stand up like Daniel in the lion's den. That's what we need. We need to have that kind of faith. When Jesus went into the temple and overturned the tables, he said, don't make my house, my Father's house, a house of merchandise. America's house has become a house of merchandise, and God is still in control.
When you go to a church with an ATM in the foyer, one pinky in the air and get out of there. I'm going to say it one more time. If you go to a church and there's an ATM in the foyer, that tells you they don't worship Jesus Christ. They're not finna tell you about hell, damnation, or repentance. They only want what's in your bank account. Put that one finger up in the air and tiptoe yourself and get out that church and find you another one. They don't worship God Almighty. They worship the God of this world. They are not the pastors to lead you the right way. They're the ones that's going to lead you astray.
Folks, I want to say this, and I'm really coming from my heart, because this Saturday, I'll be 65 years old. I grew up on a plantation. I picked and chopped cotton until I was 8 years old. From 5 to 8, I was in the fields with my mother. I watched how Black people slaved. There was slave times. We lived in a house that was a shack. But they came to Chicago, and they worked hard, and they built a legacy for us. And we've carried that on. Black people, it is time for us to get back to the basics that got us great. We don't need to keep talking about the handouts. All we have to do is put ourselves together. If we put money together and reinvest into our community, we don't need the welfare. We don't need Black lives coming into our community trying to tell us what to do, because we're going to take care of it ourselves. We have to be self-contained. We can't continue the future in this road, because look at us. Look at us. If you think that this country is fine, if you think of Black America is fine, if you think white America is fine with all the stuff that's going on, well, then just leave it like that. Just leave it like that. But if you know like I know, and you see what I see, and you know the God that I know, we can't go down like this.
Nope.
We can't go down like this.
Go down like this. So if our ancestors, the ones that they want to make us feel like they were stupid, lazy, dumb, they were survivors. They made the world go around. So if these people didn't give up that faith, if they didn't give up that march, they didn't give up that belief, and the only thing they had was swing low, sweet chariot, and they ain't as smart as the people nowadays, if they survived from that plantation, how the world you can't get off a mental one.
And we got it. There's everything to have access to us. The internet, computers, we have everything. There's no reason to talk about being oppressed anymore. No reason. I was talking to a man the other day, and he told me about, I just don't think Black people are being oppressed. I said, first of all, that's not true. Because oppression it was the obstacles that they placed before us. Yes, this is a free country. We can gain whatever we want. But it wasn't an even playing field. And so when Black people wanted to be successful, there was obstacles. But guess what? We overcame the obstacles. Black people didn't get to where we at by just falling away saying, oh, no, I can't do it because they said I could. We got where we were at because every time we got knocked down, we got back up and brushed our clothes off and kept going, used another route because they had something at stake.
Ms. Carmen said, remember, the Civil Rights March carried the American flag.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm telling Black folks now. We got to get back to that. We can't be afraid anymore. I'm telling Blacks, whites, Hispanics, everybody, we don't need to fight each other. We're fighting each other because the government said so. They lied to us, and look what they're doing to us. Look what they're doing. So common sense to tell you, just because you're a Black man, you're not my enemy. Because you're a white man, you're not my enemy. Our enemy is waging war against us. This Biden administration waged a war against the American people, and look how bad we losing. And they study implementing stuff. They study taking stuff. They study after the kids. To the American people and patriots, it's time to wake up. And if we don't wake up right now, if we don't take this stuff serious, me and Miss Hughes are sitting up here saying, we are telling you exactly what it is. We see it. We've been on the front lines. She lost her son. We've all lost somebody. We can't keep losing, because if we keep losing, it's going to be over. Latrice, your last word, sweetie. We got to get out of here.
You know what? Like he said, I'm not your enemy. The only time I'm your enemy when you F around and find out. So as long as you don't try to come at me some certain type of way, because I'm not paying your bills, I'm not paying your phone bills, you ain't paying mine either. As long as you don't step on my toes, then I won't have to put on my combat boots.
I love it. I wish I could keep you every day, but we're going to talk about that. I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Thanks for being on the show, sweetheart. Binky, you've been sitting down there, ain't said a word. What's going on with you?
No, not much. You know, you talked about the Bible and Revelations. The Bible tells us what our future is. And if we don't read the Bible and understand what the Bible says, it tells us what our future will be. It's warning us. And it's the same way with the Constitution. If we don't read the Constitution, understand the Constitution, it's our enemy. You said in Ezekiel, we're the watchmen of our pastors and our churches and stuff. Well, the Declaration made us the watchmen of government. It states right in there that when any form of government becomes destructive of its duties, it's the right of the people to alter and abolish it. So if you're going to read the Bible and understand what it says, Revelations isn't a worry of ours. We should have learned what the Bible taught us. And if you read the Constitution, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about the problems that we're facing today. So if you can't follow it, you're getting the results of it.
Yes, sir. Man, Mr. Binky, I want to appreciate you for coming in today. And we got a rest of the week. We'll be here, folks. So y'all check it out. Binky, I'll see you tomorrow. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope that we were able to open your mind up and open your eyes up to what's going on. You know, I love this country. There was no other place that I could have been, that I came off the plantation from being a sharecropper son and graduate from high school at 15 and buy my first business at 17 and technically retire at 40. Only in America could I come up from the bootstraps, from being poor, and get to this place. This country offers us everything that it has. And we, the American people, are the recipients of it. Our forefathers died fighting to keep liberties for this country. So how can we even fathom the thought that we would allow a government that works for us, that we created by the states, not to govern our lives, but to make sure that there's money put into the pot so when the states need it, we can tap into that. This government was never meant to take control of our lives and tell us what to do. It was meant to do what we need them to do. So I'm telling the American people now, all BS aside, let us stop looking at this Kanye West stuff. Let us stop looking at these other distractions. Let us do research. Let us look at the people who say that they represent us. Midterms. I don't see how anybody could vote for the Democrats after what we've seen in the last 2 years. I'm asking folks two things. Get out to vote, but also be vigilant. Be vigilant about the polls that the people vote at, because if we're not careful, and nothing is honest in this country. Don't think that it is. Don't think that these polling places are honest. Don't you think that these politicians, if they would lie, kill, and steal for money, that they would have anything legal? That voting is legal? It's all rigged. It's all a bunch of crap. And they try to pick who they want to pick. But the American people need to now, we need to see this. Let's go to the polls. Let's watch those polls. Let's get these people out of here. They're not trying to rebuild this country. They're trying to store it. They're trying to destroy it. And if we don't, we surely will see the next 2 years if Revelations is right. So I want the American people to know this. Let us stand up. Let us stand up for our children. Let us stand up for this country. Because if we don't stand up for this country right now, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran, they all looking at us. They looking at us saying that America is at its weakest point. They got a bunch of homosexuals running the country. They're destroying their own people inside. What would be a better time than to strike them now? God bless you, folks. We hope that don't happen. We'll keep praying. We'll keep God first. But remember this, these things were held to be true because we are living in Revelation time. God bless you. Read, research, and find God through Jesus Christ. Peace.